Hey, good evening, guys. Bill McMillan here with NDWX.com. Wednesday evening, about 8:20, as we record this video update for you, and we've got a weak weather system moving through the region tonight. It'll provide a mostly cloudy sky and potentially a couple of snow flurries Thursday morning. But all in all, this is not going to be a big deal. It will serve to create a chillier day on Thursday when compared to today. We reached the lower 40s today. It felt downright balmy after the frigid conditions that we've been dealing with for the first half of December. Speaking of that, we are running close to 7 degrees below normal here in Indianapolis month to date, and you see really the coast-to-coast cold dominating the pattern here through the 20th. I would anticipate some moderation, especially here along the East Coast. And while this overall pattern is relaxing from the frigid conditions that we have dealt with, it's still a very challenging one, and I think one that will have the potential of producing additional wintry fun and games after Christmas and before the New Year. With the little leader-follower type situation developing. We'll explain that here in just a moment. All in all, certainly a chilly pattern, warmer than we've been, moderating from the frigid conditions that we've seen, and we're going to get a spike here just after Christmas, I think, probably a pre-dawn high on Monday, the 26th, that will approach the upper 50s, maybe even touch 60 across portions of southern and central parts of Indiana, before temperatures cool again next week. And the European is particularly bullish on leading the charge to a colder close to the month and open to January. As we go forward in time this evening, I think the NAM is probably a bit too aggressive with overnight lows dipping into the lower and middle 20s is what it would suggest tonight as that boundary passes through here. I think we probably fall into the upper 20s tonight with a mostly cloudy sky. Again, don't be surprised if we see a snow flurry Thursday morning before a brightening afternoon sky. And then our attention turns to the potential of a wintry mix developing here late Friday night into the early morning hours on Christmas Eve itself, as an initial surge of moisture runs into chilly, nothing brutally cold, but chilly enough to create a wintry mix before it changes to a wet, maybe a wet snowflake or two across north central portions of the state. And I think we all go over to rain as we move into Christmas Eve. The high resolution, this is going to be the NAM forecast model here, shows that as well. Back this up just a little bit. You see the initial surge of moisture approaching central Indiana late Friday night into early parts of Christmas Eve itself. Again, I would favor mostly snow across northern portions of the state late Friday night into Christmas Eve morning before that continues to transition over to rain. The GFS shows that as well. We'll look at the upper air pattern here in just a moment. Let's see if I can get this. I had this out of order. I apologize, guys. I'll show you the GFS here, and that initial surge of moisture approaches. Again, may start as a wintry mix, some wet snow across central and northern portions of the state late Friday into early Christmas Eve. Not going to be a big deal, though, I don't believe, before we transition to just a chilly and kind of damp Christmas Eve itself. Probably lower 40s for a high on Christmas Eve with cloudy conditions, some drizzle around as well. The big story, though, is going to be the developing storm system that will lead to blizzard conditions across the northern plains, potentially a severe weather outbreak across the south central portions of the country, and will lead to a windy afternoon on Christmas before we introduce showers and potentially a clap of thunder late Christmas night into Monday the 26th. That cold front sweeps through. We'll get into a northwesterly flow and colder conditions as we go into next week. Nothing terribly cold, but certainly chilly, no doubt. And then we'll have to wait and see how the overall pattern plays with us here as we see a secondary piece of energy come out the middle and latter parts of next week. The GFS would suggest mostly a rain 2 potentially snow event as we continue to advance this. This would be valid Thursday night of next week. And then continuing to fast forward, you see the idea here with colder conditions and potentially some snow on the backside of that. The European has a little bit of a different approach and has really been leading the charge when it comes to this trough digging in here to close out 2016. What at one time may have seemed like a rather boring warm weather pattern to close the year is certainly not going to be the case. It's going to be continued very active, and on top of that, turning colder as well. We'll leave you tonight with a look at the European ensemble 500 millibar pattern. This is the upper air pattern here, and we'll start this on Friday and continue to advance it. The ridge really balloons across the eastern portion of the country as we go into Christmas. Again, a mild eastern Christmas is ahead. A lot of snow geese out there, and those enthusiasts who just love a white Christmas, self included. Certainly frustrated with the pattern, but we can't do anything about the weather. We've got to take what we've got and continue to search out the additional challenges as we move forward. But that ridge will give way to a trough digging in here to wrap up the year. And also what we look at here is this building ridge across Alaska, and the potential looms for that to tap into, again, some rather bitterly cold air, dislodge it across western Canada and send it south into the lower 48. And if that is the case, then again we're in a unique pattern where at one time it looked to be rather boring and mild, and we get into some bonus cold and potentially wintry weather as well. I think as a whole, the overall pattern is not set to shift back to sustained colder than normal conditions, probably a transient type in and out pattern as we go through the first week of January. But as we go deeper into January, the potential certainly is on the table to go back into a cold and probably wintry time of things as we go closer and closer to the middle part of the month and on into February as well. Don't want to get ahead of ourselves, though. Again, challenges await when you look at the wintry mixed terrain Friday night into early Christmas Eve morning, the potential of a thunderstorm late Christmas night or early Monday, and then again that secondary piece of energy coming out, potentially interacting with colder air and providing a wintry threat as we wrap up the year. Guys, that will do it for the video update for you. I hope you're having a great Christmas week. Enjoy family and friends. Thank you as always for logging on to IndyWX.com. We'll try to shake this cold here and get back to regularly scheduled posts as we move through the next few days. Make it a great night, guys. Thank you.